Today we're playing Batman Arkham Asylum, and I haven't loaded this up in probably a couple months. So, open door. Where the fuck am I? Yeah, we're also talking about Crime and Punishment because that's what I've been reading lately. I've only gotten like 60 pages in, which I think is chapter 5. And
At last. I thought you'd never find it.
Riddler, I'm really trying to talk to the people here. No, I always wanted to read Crime and Punishment. Okay, these guys aren't gonna shut up, so I might have to. Okay. I don't really see a way to. I don't see a way to turn off this electricity here, because it goes over here, but I can't do anything to those. How do I fucking crouch again? I forgot. Jesus. There we go. But yeah, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, which obviously is a classic. Most people have read it, but I just never got assigned it or read it. So I decided to do that now, and about 60 pages in, it's obviously an old Russian novel from like 1886, I think. So, you know, it's not the easiest read. But one thing I've realized, or at least that I've been thinking about, is that it's surprisingly modern feeling. Okay, fuck me. No, it's not as much of a slog as I thought it would be, because usually when you read older stuff, it's not that it is interesting, but you kind of have to get over the barrier of entry, because, you know, it's a lot of old language and grammar that you're not used to, and, you know, writing was a bit different, and grammar, all those sorts of things. But honestly, this novel it's surprisingly easy to read. There are a couple words here and there that, you know, I'm not familiar with in 2026, but overall, it's not too hard to get the grasp of. Another thing is, obviously, this is the first Dostoevsky book I've read, so, you know, I'm getting used to his writing style, and one thing that I'm starting to realize is that he's very monologue heavy and dialogue heavy. A lot of this book, at least 60 pages in, has pretty much been people talking to each other and like monologues going for 3 pages, which isn't incredibly common in most books unless it's a really important conversation. But a lot of the time, you know, monologue is only about a page or half a page or a paragraph, and in this book they go for 3-4 pages. But I've definitely enjoyed that part of it. It doesn't bother me. But that all of that is really just about how the book is actually written and my thoughts on that. Actually reading it story-wise, I've noticed a few things that I think are pretty cool, and also forgive me because I'm not gonna... I'm just wandering around. I need to figure out what the fuck I'm doing, because I've just been wandering back and forth talking. Hold on, wait. No, forgive me for not saying the character names. I'm not I'm not very well versed in, Russian naming convention and surnames and all of that. So it's a bit hard to remember some of the names so far for me. I'm sure it'll get better the deeper I get into the book and the more I see them, but that is probably I wouldn't say the worst thing, but the most difficult thing so far hasn't even been, vocabulary or grammar or any of that. It's been the Russian names, because they're pretty hard to remember if you're not, used to them. But the main protagonist is pretty interesting so far, and if you don't know, spoilers, I guess, for 1886 novel here. There's the back of the book pretty much says a young killer is in a cat and mouse game with a detective. So essentially from the start, we know our protagonist is going to murder somebody, which is pretty clear when you read the first 10 pages in the introduction. He walks to this old lady's house to... Oh, shit. I thought I was getting another Riddler thing. I genuinely don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's been so long since I loaded up this game that I'm really fucking confused on what I'm doing right now. That was with Bonnet. I ran back out. What the fuck am I doing? Locate poison ivy using her pheromone trail. Wait, I need to get back to her pheromones, dog. Where are her pheromones at? Anyway, no, you
up to the challenge?
shut the fuck up, Riddler. God damn. No, you can tell the protagonist is odd from the first 10 pages, even if you haven't read the back of the book or a synopsis. He talks about walking to this old lady's apartment to fence a pocket watch. And by fence, I mean sell, pawn, whatever. And that sounds pretty normal, but on the way there, he's rambling with internal thoughts about how his hat is too conspicuous and people are going to recognize his hat, and how he has bad thoughts that he can't possibly be serious about. He also says that he counted the exact steps to get to her house, and it's 730. So that's pretty weird, Most people don't do that. And then he gets there, and I found it really interesting because on the way there, he describes himself as thin, strikingly handsome, beautiful hair, this, and that. And then when he gets there, he describes her as beady-eyed, leathery skin, a neck like a chicken leg. So I just thought it was interesting, the narration between how he talks about himself and his thoughts and how other people are described. Oh! I figured it out. Fuck you, bitch. Oh, fuck. Hold on. I forgot how to fight. I haven't played this in forever. I fucking jumped in the water. No, the way the main protagonist describes himself and describes other people is often pretty different. He's not particularly positive about other people, and he describes himself, at least physically, quite kindly, and a bit egotistical. But like I was saying, when he gets, hold on, let me lock in for a second. I gotta finish this. God damn, I'm really not cooking with the combat. I wanted to get him in the water, but no, when he gets to the old lady's house to sell the watch, they're talking about prices and this or that, but he's standing inside of her living room. He's standing inside of her living room and talking about how the sun is going to hit the window at an exact rate through the curtains, or it's going to look just like this later, and he's memorizing the layout. So there's a good bit of, foreshadowing, I guess you could call it, that he's kind of weird.